Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So I'm back to my usual setup. So now I'll be able to stream and provide a lot more goodness, good stuff. So today I want to talk about Bitcoin and what has happened last week and what's going to happen this week. Also give you an update on Ethereum and why it sold off so much, and latest update on Celsius Network. Also, a little bit about Luna as well. So there's a lot to talk about. Let's get started. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com. And make sure you follow the brand new CryptosRUs Clips channel. Good morning, guys. Afternoon. Welcome. Hopefully you guys are hanging in there. For the most part, I see people are still being hopeful, staying encouraged, staying long with Bitcoin, although there are definitely a lot of fudders out there, people that are miserable and they want to spread the FUD, and I get it. But if you're looking at a fear index, I'm actually quite surprised. You're seeing that the extreme fear level is actually going up. I kind of expected today to be back down to 10 or maybe even lower because of what happened yesterday and the day before, right? But you could see that people are hopeful. They are definitely DCAing, which is why you're seeing extreme fear level actually going up a tad versus just yesterday and the day before. So that's good. But of course, there's still a lot of fear out there. A lot of people that want to give up, don't know what is going on with Bitcoin, and is questioning whether or not it'll ever come back, right? It looks like all hope is lost as Bitcoin is climbing and holding at $28,000, right? $28,000. It seems like it fell so far, yet it's still almost 10 times higher than 2020. So think about that. Now, with that said, what about this week, though? What about this week? Well, there's a big event that's happening on Wednesday. We already kind of know what's going to happen, unless Powell says something that is unexpected. But the FOMC meeting will start this week on Tuesday and then Wednesday. But he already said, we're going to raise interest rates by about 50 basis points, and that's this month and next month. But people are waiting to see what he says about after July, right? What about the following meetings? Is he going to be hawkish, even more hawkish, because we had some bad CPI data that came out on Friday, right? Inflation reversed back upwards rather than downwards, went up to 8.6%. So this is the reason why the U.S. market sold off, because people are, if the inflation, if the CPI data is going up, inflation is going up, then Powell still has to be very, very hawkish, right? So all eyes will be on this press conference, and most likely I'll be streaming that conference on Wednesday to see if he changes his tone and he's going to become more hawkish, or he's still going to just have a wait and see kind of stance, right? So that is coming up this week. Pretty big event. Now, outside of this, what else is going on with Bitcoin? Did anything change? Did anything fundamentally change with Bitcoin? Well, the answer is no. And I've been saying this for a long time. People don't believe it. People are like, there's no way anyone's buying Bitcoin at these levels. There's no way that the whales are buying Bitcoin when the price is going down. But it's not just me that is looking at the data. Here's crypto analytics firm Into the Block is saying that Bitcoin is flying off the exchanges. They're looking at the addresses. They're looking at the number of Bitcoins held on exchanges, and it just keeps going down. These big boys, they're not trying to time bottom. They are just buying when things are low. That's it. They're trying to accumulate as much as possible. That is what I strive for, right? I strive to accumulate as much as possible while it is cheap. I've always said that. And you could see it. You could see it. I use Crypto Quant, maybe not the best tool, but this is going back last month when Bitcoin has been stagnant, and including recent time where it fell down to where we are, 28,000. And you could see a lot more red than green. That's for sure. Why is that? Because it's showing the net flow of Bitcoin on the exchanges. And there's a lot more being removed than going in. That is what's happening right now, right? So despite, yes, the day-to-day volatility, week-to-week volatility, and a lot of geo macroeconomic stuff going on, that is affecting all assets, not just Bitcoin. Despite all of that, the smart money, the big money, the whales that are in it for long haul, what they're doing is buying. Can't dispute this data. You could see it. It's measurable, right? And that is exactly what they're doing. This is what I'm following, what I preach, because I've been through much worse times, okay? I've been through much worse times, including what I just said about 2020, about Bitcoin being 10 times higher than 2020 when it fell to like 3,000 something, right? That was not fun. That was no fun. And I wish we never, ever, ever see that again. But we have been through periods like that where it has been much worse, much more fearful, right? And those that bought and DCA'd on the way down, even on the way down, and DCAing along the way are the ones that are now way, way, way in the green, and they don't care about what's going on day to day, right? So, thank you. That's a big super chat. Really big. Appreciate that, Chris. So, that's exactly what the whales are doing right now. Okay. Besides that, there's other metrics that has not changed. This is why I come back to the on-chain metrics and the holders and the fundamentals, because these things have not changed. If all these things started to flip downwards, and we're definitely seeing a fundamental change in long-term holders or the number of addresses or anything that's measurable, well, then I would reconsider my stance that Bitcoin is going to keep going forward like it has been for the last 12 years. But take a look. Number of addresses holding one Bitcoin. This is just going up until today. Still going upwards towards all-time high. In fact, it is at all-time high, right? But even if you zoomed in at certain times when it did dip, right? Like, for example, in 2018, when Bitcoin fell down, right? In 2021, it fell down a little bit. If you zoom in, I'm sure you'll see that it drops a little bit. But if you zoom out like this, is it even measurable? Not really. You can hardly even see the dip, right? Because ultimately, this is what's happening. This is why Bitcoin keeps going up, because the number of people are holding it is going up too, right? The fundamentals of Bitcoin has never been stronger. The number of users, the number of holders, number of addresses, the hash rate, anything that you can measure, right? Here's Bitcoin's difficulty. Why is difficulty at an all-time high? It's because the miners are not giving up either, right? So this is all part of the growing fundamentals. That's why I say Bitcoin is stronger now than even when you argue when Bitcoin was at 69,000, because all these fundamentals, right, measurable fundamentals, is actually higher now than even 6-7 months ago. So think about that, right? Think about how oversold Bitcoin is right now, all right? So stay positive, stay encouraged, focus on the future, and know that we will get through this. And I've been saying that for quite a long time, I know, but I will keep saying it because I believe in it. I don't believe anyone should be giving on Bitcoin right now, right? Despite the fact we're at 28,000, and despite maybe we go lower, I don't think so. I still think that at 25K was our bottom, and we're still going sideways, but there's many people that think that we could definitely go lower. Well, how low? Well, here's one from On-Chain College that is talking about Bitcoin hitting right now, hitting that 3-year moving average and bouncing off of it, which is right around 26,000, 27,000, right? We actually just hit that. We bounced off, so we're now at 28. But what if we go lower? Well, the 4-year moving average is 21,000, right? And that happens to be the same mark as the 200 weekly moving average as well. So some people are thinking, well, for sure, we're going to go down to that level, right? Nothing is for certain. Nothing is for sure, right? But if we do, does that change anything? Based on everything I've said, all the growing fundamentals, does that change anything? No, it doesn't, because the holders will continue to hold. The whales, the big money, will continue to buy via OTC so that it does not disrupt the price, right? And those things will not change. And here's another one. This is interesting because this is from a person that I haven't seen before, but he correlated NASDAQ, the NASDAQ index, with Bitcoin. NASDAQ is the top right, Bitcoin is the bottom, and he's looking at moving averages as well, right? And looking at if NASDAQ holds its current average, then Bitcoin should do fine. But if it goes below, right, then Bitcoin will follow. And again, he thinks Bitcoin will go down to like 21, 22, which is correlating to basically this 4-year moving average or the 200 weekly moving average. They're all around the same point, right? Does it mean it has to happen? No, right? But if it does, again, I'll still stay strong. I'll continue to DCA. I'll be able to buy more cheap Bitcoins, bring my cost average down, and I'll continue to do that no matter what. But no guarantees that's going to happen. No one knows where bottom is. That's why you DCA over long haul. And you try to take emotion out of it. You try to do it on a schedule so you don't have to guess, right? But just want to present this for you guys. All right. Now, besides Bitcoin, a lot of you guys are wondering what's going on with altcoins, okay? And I'm going to address that a couple of them. So this is the Bitcoin's dominance or market cap dominance versus all other altcoins out there. So you could see that it has scaled up quite a lot to about 48.33%. But here's the thing. It is right around the same point as if you look at back in July, August of 2021. So it has not scaled to a point that we haven't seen for years, okay? We have seen this last year when Bitcoin also fell down to about 28,000, exactly at 28,000 before it started recovering. Then Bitcoin dominance started going down. So we're starting to see that right now, which is why you have probably noticed that altcoins have been selling off more, including Ethereum. And I'll get to that in a little bit, right? So the question mark is, will this continue? Because the Bitcoin maxis will argue that this will go back up to the 60s or 70%, right, in terms of dominance. If that happens, there's one of two ways that it's going to happen. Number one is Bitcoin rallies hard and altcoins do not move, which is a possibility, and that's not bad. That's actually not bad scenario because at least altcoins are holding while Bitcoin's going up. But the second case that this could happen, which will be really bad, is altcoins continue to sell off and sell off massively while Bitcoin holds. So that's the second scenario, right? And we're already starting to see that. But if you compare where most of the altcoins are today, even after the sell-off, versus that March of 2020 I mentioned, right? Most altcoins are still like 5 to 10x, if not more higher. So we're still way, way, way higher than 2 years ago. But this is the question mark, right? Should you be adding more if you're DCAing? Should you be DCAing only into Bitcoin at this point or altcoins? See, that's a hard question to answer because it could go either way. Now, I generally think that right now, altcoins are a different animal than before. DeFi and lending and DEXs and everything else that's happening right now, there's a lot more liquidity at space. So I'm generally thinking that altcoins are not going to lose the dominance like before, and Bitcoin dominance shoots up to 70%. It can happen, but I don't think it will. But we will see. Right now, definitely having diversified portfolio with at least 50% in Bitcoin, I think that's the smartest move. And if you go up from there, 50 to 60, 70, whatever, or it could be 100, I think that would be not a bad idea. But if you're still holding very, very, very heavily into alts and have no Bitcoin, very little Bitcoin, then that's where I think adding more Bitcoin will definitely be beneficial. But Just want to bring that up because Bitcoin dominance is pretty high, nearing 50%. Nearing 50%. Cyril, I own a few little stocks. I'm dabbing into it, but not really. I'm mostly just looking at like Tesla and big tech right now. Jolamas, when does ADA staking pool start? Still working on it. It's harder than it looks. Still working on trying to get it. The company I was working for just kind of disappeared, so I don't know what's going on with them. But I'll let you know as soon as I get done. But one of the big reasons why this dominance went up is because Ethereum sold off heavily within the last 7 days and within the last 30 days, right? So look at Ethereum now, it's around 1,500. Not too long ago, it's just at 1,700. And not too long ago, it's above 2,000. But you can see this week is down 16% versus 6% for Bitcoin. And then in the last 30 days, it's down 27% versus 6% for Bitcoin. So it goes to show you this is one of the reasons why. And because Ethereum was hovering around a 20% dominance mark. So this is one of the reasons why Bitcoin dominance is going up so much. But what is exactly happening with Ethereum? Well, there is a scare right now. Besides the market weakness, a lot of altcoins did sell off, but there's a little bit more scare with Ethereum because of this one lending project, Celsius. So Dylan Leclerc, I think that's how you say his last name, right? Who generally is not a FUD spreader, but he does raise some points. He raised some points with Luna before. Now he's raising some points with Celsius. And basically, he's making this argument that Celsius, you have to watch out because they could become insolvent with Ethereum. Okay? Celsius, I just did a video yesterday about them. There's a lot of FUD about Celsius right now. Whether or not there was like insider trading, whether or not Alex and his team was part of other rug pull projects, whether or not there's whole bunch of stuff that's going on. But the main thing that's happening right now and why it relates to Ethereum is this. Celsius does earn a lot of their yield through DeFi projects. There's this one project called Lido, which allows you to stake ETH, and it's liquid staking so that you could stake ETH and get something called STETH back. It's a synthetic version of Ethereum, which you can use for whatever you want. Okay, so you could use it in other projects. You can earn yield from it. You could trade with it and so forth, right? So there's this synthetic ETH called STETH, right? And Celsius seems like they have a ton of their ETH staked, and they hold a lot of STETH. Okay, so that is where the insolvency or the liquidity issue comes in, because right now there's a lot of people that are trying to redeem STETH, and if you have staked in ETH 2.0, right? If you staked in Ethereum 2.0 and you staked in the beacon chain, you can't withdraw from it until Ethereum 2.0 is done. So that is a problem, because if you hold a ton of STETH and you have your ETH staked in the beacon chain, you can't redeem it. You can't withdraw it, right? And if you have a bank run situation where you have, let's say, a ton of users trying to take out all their ETH from Celsius, well, what is Celsius going to do if they can't access all the ETH that's already staked in, right? So there's a lot of connections here. But it has been, I believe, verified by Alex and others that Celsius does participate in DeFi projects. How they earn a lot of their yield, because they have to earn it some way to give it out, right? They were somewhat involved with UST and Luna, and they're staying mum about it. But right now, Dylan Leclerc is basically saying, watch out for this STETH, because if you look at it, it has depegged from $1. So this is STETH, which, yeah, you can see it generally up and down, up and down, up and down. But it's supposed to be at a 1 peg, right? Meaning 1 STETH equals 1 Ethereum. That's how it's supposed to be, right? But right now, you could see It is not at 1. It dropped a little bit, and it's at 0.958, 0.96. And generally speaking, you're thinking, well, 0.96 isn't that bad, right? It's not that off peg. Well, here's the thing. Ethereum right now is at 15.15. STETH, if you are going to trade it on a DEX, because of the peg, is at 14.56. So you are losing about $50 right now if you try to trade STETH. So the worry is if this depeg happens and it continues further, and then this is going down to 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, then there will be a panic, right? There will be a mass panic about STETH, and people will try to dump it, and it may come out to be like a UST situation, right? So that's the thing. That's what's going on. That's why ETH seems to have sold off more because of this worry. And because people are making, they're bringing this to light, and Celsius is taking a lot of heat right now, right? And Alex, he responded by saying this, which probably isn't the best time. I don't know if he intentionally meant this, but he tweeted this out saying, "The power of Celsius is our community. I'm calling on this amazing community we've built together in the past 5 years to come build the next Celsius network." Keyword there, next. Together, we've earned over 5,100 Bitcoins and 83,000 ETH, all the trolls spreading fears. And you have never built anything. Well, see, that's the thing. It sounds like a really good hurrah kind of tweet, right? Until you focus on that word, next. So what does that remind you of? Terra 2.0, right? I hopefully it doesn't come. I hope that he did not mean that at all. But if he does, this would absolutely be the worst timing ever in history, because we just had the Terra crash and Terra 2.0 thing, right? So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think Celsius, when it comes to lending projects, there's only a few out there, right? They're definitely being attacked by the SEC right now. But when we have market weakness right now, that's when people are fearful. They're looking into things, and liquidity becomes an issue. So I'm hoping that all this that's coming out is not going to affect Celsius. It's not going to incur a bank run. Isn't going to somehow drop them further, right? But these things are coming to light, so we do have to pay attention to them. All right, and then lastly, that relates to the last bank run, Terra 2.0. So there's one of the big Terra fans from before, Fat Man, who is now on a rampage against Do Kwon and Terra, and I believe he has a class action lawsuit against them. But he is claiming that Do Kwon and team cashed out not $80 million, but $2.7 billion with the use of this crazy DeFi project called Abracadabra, which is like a compounding yield kind of project that wasn't created by Terra, but it was definitely, used by a lot of people. But Fat Man, is basically trying to connect the dots and saying that the team used it, basically cash out $2.7 billion worth of funds from the UST Luna ecosystem, right? And if you go through this, I mean, he actually has some of these addresses picked out, so it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all, right? There's so much coming out from everywhere that shows that this was a house of cards, and unfortunately, it just crashed and collapsed on everyone, including myself, right? But Do Kwon, who has now made his tweets public again because he hid it and now he made it public, he denies it, of course. He's like, this should be obvious, but the claim that I cashed out $2.7 billion is false, right? You could see my wallet, and it's all through airdrops. Basically, he's saying, no, I did not cash out. And he does also say that I don't want to sound like I'm playing victim, but I lost most of what I had in the crash too. I've said this multiple times, but I don't really care about money much. That's BS. Let's just call it that. Okay. You go from billions to zero, you're going to care about the billions that you have lost. So let's not pretend like money doesn't care and I just lost whatever billions. No, that's BS. But, basically he's saying he didn't sell $2.7 billion, right? I guess we'll see, because sole investigators and the police and their equivalent of, their FBI is all looking into this right now, right? And we will see whether or not any of this is true, but this is definitely adding fuel to the fire at this point. So there you go. All right, guys, that is it. Overall, Bitcoin holding strong at 28,000. Let's do some Q&A. Sean says, Cardano made a great showing on consensus. I know Charles. I didn't keep up with what Charles said, but I know he was wearing a shirt that was way too small. And I think he did it on purpose, I think. But, and there was a lot of stuff happening. But of course, you guys know I was on vacation, so I didn't really pay attention as much as I should have to consensus. But, whenever we have big conferences, the good thing is a lot of projects announce new developments, new things, right? Gets people encouraged and hopeful. But I still don't like the fact that all these conferences charge $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 for their passes. So general, average Joes, right, will never be able to learn. The only thing they could do is look at websites or look at the videos. But if they want to attend, they can never do so, right? That's the only thing that I think is a big mistake. They should create tickets where it's much more affordable, $10, $20 tickets that people can actually buy and go to these events, right? What's your thoughts, Cyril? This is a previous super chat I missed. What are your thoughts on Tesla self-driving? Well, right now, it's still nowhere close to full self-driving. So I think everyone's being duped into paying for FSD. But the only good thing about it is it does raise, Elon raises the price on that periodically. So it does help appreciate your car and stop it from depreciating if you do have it. I think that's the really benefit to FSD right now. Hopefully in the future he could figure it out, but right now just nowhere close to it. And I still don't have FSD beta either. Should we worry about Tether depegging? Yes, but whales tried and they failed. So at least Tether does have some money. So after the UST crash, there were some whales that cashed out, I think 3 or 4 billion worth of UST like immediately. And it brought the peg down to like 0.97 or something. But then it came right back up. So it does show that they have a lot more money in the bank than people think. But yeah, I think at this point, unless there's a huge, gigantic bank run where like 30 billion or 50 billion is being cashed out of USTD, probably not go see that, but who knows? Hopefully that never, ever, ever happens again and will never be tested. Yeah, people are asking about Litecoin. Hey, Litecoin being delisted from 2 major South Korean exchanges is not good. You can't spin that being good. And this is something Charlie Lee have said himself, which is why he didn't want to add Mimblewimble before, because he knew that regulators and governments would try to shut it down. He said this himself. Yet he still did it anyways. So now we're going to see that more. It's already started, and we're going to see a lot more of it. So it's not good. It's not good. I just had to yell at my kids because they're stupid. For playing outside my door. Anyways, but yeah, it's not good. It's not good. So you could argue because these exchanges already started delisting, other privacy coins like Monero and Dash and Zcash and Monero has, I guess, held pretty good, but the others have not, right? So Litecoin, even though it's an optional feature, you could turn on Mimblewimble, you could turn on privacy transactions. It's not forced. Governments don't like that, right? So despite everything, my dislike in Charlie, or distrust in Charlie, I should say, if you even remove all that, you got to watch out for Litecoin. If all these exchanges start delisting Litecoin, it's not going to be good for them. Let's see. What do you think about RSI altcoins entered the oversold area for first time in history? I don't know what RSI altcoins. If you're referring to an individual one, if you're looking at dominance and you're looking at dominance being oversold, I don't put any weight on that because altcoins are changing and there's more being added every single day. So it's not going to be consistent like before. However, if you do look at, I was looking at Ethereum, for example, right? Ethereum's, I just mentioned how ETH was really sold recently. And if you look at Ethereum on a grander scale, on a weekly scale, is it oversold? Well, yes. So if you look at Ethereum, this is on a weekly scale. You go back all the way to when Ethereum was down at $7, $6 or $7. This is back in November of 2016. This was when they went ICO'd, right? They ICO'd, and this was very early on. But at that point, the RSI on a weekly scale hit about 30, okay? That happened. Then when Ethereum hit about $80, and this was end of 2018, right? Bottom of the bear market, RSI also hit about 30. In fact, it went down a little bit lower, about 27, 28, okay? And RSI has never been that low until now. So you look at even the COVID crash, okay, when Ethereum went down to about 80-something, 90-something, RSI was still not that low. And look at where RSI now is. RSI just hit 30, right? So can it go a little bit below to 28, 29? Maybe. But if you're looking at down here, Ethereum has only ever hit this point on a weekly scale twice in its history, and we are at that third time, right? So, I mean, as for altcoins, being oversold, yeah, they're definitely oversold. I mean, you could argue Ethereum is more oversold now than the COVID crash. So think about that. And when the COVID crash happened, it was like $80 or $90. Okay, so think about that. What do you think about Chromia? I haven't heard about Chromia for a long time. It's supposed to be a relational database kind of chain, right? Not that really means anything. They have a lot of games supposedly on there, but none of them has really taken off. So kind of neutral on them for now. With the recent downtime of Solana, do you think it's still worth accumulating up until the next BTC halving? Yeah, because I don't think they're going to just die off and disappear. There's still a lot of loyal Solana fans, and there's still a lot of big VCs that are supporting them and celebrities that are supporting them because they're NFTs. They have a ton of NFTs too. So I think they're still going to be around. I still think they're worth holding on to. How's my knee? Still not good. Still not good. Still working at it. It sucks. I have a really bad knee. My knee feels like I'm like 60 or 70 years old, man. It's just so bad. Townsley. How about Avalanche? Avalanche, very, very oversold. It's at 19 right now. And it dropped way out of top 10. I don't know what it is with Avalanche. I can't figure it out. Because Avalanche does have stable coins, but they're from side projects, not their own, right? And Avalanche does have one of the biggest ecosystems out there, including a ton of TVL. But they have definitely sold off. A lot of people have been selling off Avalanche. But, I think they're still going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine based on the things I just said. Now, it could be because Avalanche did start ties with Terra. So there was a big thing about bringing UST liquidity to Avalanche DEXs, right? So that probably had a big part in its decline. Also, Avalanche also formed a relationship with one major project, DeFi Kingdoms from Harmony. They were the very first side chain, and that brought a lot of liquidity over too. And DeFi Kingdoms have been absolutely decimated, like way decimated. So that also probably hurt it. But besides that, I don't know. I think everything is oversold right now, obviously, if you look at how much altcoins have been selling off. But Avalanche a little bit more than usual. Anthony, welcome. Fed does 75 basis points based on CPI and shit's go get real. It's not going to happen. Powell already said it. He's not even considering 75 basis points, right? And what's happening this Wednesday will not be, I don't know. I'm just going to say it's not going to be unexpected, in my opinion. 50 basis points, that's already a lock, right? The only thing that can happen is if he says, well, the next one that we were originally anticipating, which will be next month, 50 basis points, maybe we'll consider something higher. I just don't see that. I think what he's going to say is, well, this one and the next one will be a lock at 50 basis points, but we will definitely keep our eyes open and see what happens with inflation and whether or not we need to be more aggressive. Like some kind of verbiage like that. Right? And people will take that very negatively if he says something like that, which means he's opening the doors to the possibility of 75 basis point hike or more hikes in the future, right? But if he says, well, you know what? Yeah, we're at 8.6%, which is basically the same point at March, right? And we're still going to stick with our plan and see what happens. Well, then I think the market's cooled down. But we'll see. I guess we'll see what he says in his press conference. Usually, generally speaking, the press conferences don't add anything outside of his press releases, but the minutes do. I don't know why. Every time the Fed minutes come out, then the market reacts like as if they missed something, but not really quite sure why. Anyways. All right, guys, I'll let you go. Overall, there's a lot of FUD out there, guys. A lot of FUD. Talked a whole bunch about Celsius and what that has to do with Ethereum, right? There's still Terra FUD. There's a lot of FUD out there, okay? Fear is very, very, very high. But for Bitcoiners, for long-term holders, know that the fundamentals have not changed. Regardless of how bad it's going to get or how bad it is already, Bitcoin will get through this because of the long-term holders, people that believe this is the best way to hedge against inflation, the best store of value, the best and most secure network that we have today, the ability to transfer Bitcoin anywhere in the world instantly, feelessly, without having anyone being able to stop it. That is worth its weight in, I was going to say gold, but I can't say that. Worth its weight in whatever, bits. Right? So stay strong, my friends, and I will see you guys tomorrow, my usual time, 8:15 a.m. market open stream. All right? So I'll see you there. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.